Everybody, thank you for tuning back in with us with Meet in the Middle. I'm TK.
I'm your host, Justin.
There was none before us, and there will be none after us. Therefore, that makes us the one and only podcast just for you. And today, we have a special guest, Brendan Watt.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, nice having you, Mr. Watt.
Mr. Watt.
Appreciate being here.
Yeah, so what we're going to really just be diving into is just your story,
Yeah.
right? We met at MN Rising Professionals. You seem like a great guy. He keeps saying that you're a great guy.
Yeah, I did my
Appreciate
research. Yeah.
Doing his research.
Thank you.
So more so, we could just get right into it. Kind of just tell us about yourself, where you're from,
Sure.
and your upbringing, and then we'll kind of just go from there.
Yeah.
Just have an authentic, awesome conversation.
Love it. No, born and raised Minnesota. Lived here my whole life. Love the cold. Can't stand the humid temps. Florida, California. Nope, not my jam. I can vacation there. Can't live there.
Okay.
I grew up in Plymouth. Ended up single mom, only child. So she and I were very close. Dad's not in the picture. It was a very, tough, upbringing, I would say. Just not being able to necessarily have a whole lot of, interaction, with kind of like the father figure, right? And so I think, a piece of that kind of influenced my later career, where I'm at now, focusing on a lot of the mentoring, and, I know we'll get into that, but only child, single mom. We, very close. Grandma kind of helped raise me as well.
Right.
She did a lot of the cooking, caretaking, all that jazz. Amazing woman, absolutely amazing woman.
Only child or any siblings?
Yeah, only child.
Oh,
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And then where'd you go to high school at?
Yeah, Wayzata.
Yeah, I knew
was
that.
like-
Always felt out of place, I can tell you
college.
that. Always felt out of place.
What makes you say that?
Oh man, just you got students there, first cars and HV2
Okay.
Hummer,
So I can relate to this, right?
Yeah.
So I went to Lakeville South before I graduated from Osseo in Brooklyn Park.
Sure.
But Lakeville's the same thing. Like the freshmen, the sophomores at 16, right? Yeah, sophomore. Their cars would be way better than any of the teachers.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking about Mercedes-Benz, Lexus, but the new version. So when they turn 16, they get a 2000 and
Fresh off the
15.
dealership.
Yeah,
Yep,
2000,
yep.
yeah, exactly.
It's
but,
wild.
But Wayzata, if you've never seen Wayzata looks like a college. Like that's the only school in Minnesota, and I would say Eden Prairie got 4 stories, but Wayzata is the school that's like, this is probably one of the richest schools in Minnesota.
For perspective, right?
Yeah,
like
in the area it's in.
right. Well,
Yeah.
even that, senior year, every year they spent like $30,000 to have a broken down car helicoptered in onto the football field to prevent drunk driving, for senior prom. Like it's insane the amount of money that they spend. Like that school is just on another level. I don't know.
Even heard of that.
Oh,
I
it's
don't even hear of that.
insane. It's insane.
I never experienced that at all.
Yeah, no, I was just when we just played them in basketball or football.
Yeah.
I'm just like, this school is like miles long.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
this school's huge.
College campus, 100%.
That's great, man. But I want to dive deep a little bit more into your upbringing.
Yeah.
Because now realizing that
You were single.
Yep.
Mother, raised
single
you.
mother and then only child.
Yeah.
How would you say that kind of shaped you when you were growing up, like the benefits and then kind of what you think that you missed out on?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, everything really, right? It really influenced me having a drive from an early age, wanting to be a provider of sorts, you know, kind of help mom out, you know, be somebody that could, you know, not only, you know, do things around the house, but also, you know, how can I make money for the family? Like, what can I do to influence our lives, you know?
Right.
And, you know, just drove me to a class in college, actually, that I had a professor of mine. They, you know, said, well, you know, you seem very passionate about, you know, social issues. Have you ever considered social work?
Right.
And, you know, I said, okay, you know, this is not necessarily what I had in mind.
At
but
Metro State,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Very good. There you go. You did your homework. I like it. No, it was interesting. And, you know, kind of on a whim, I said, okay, well, nothing else is really sticking out to me. So maybe I'll go into that. You know, fast forward, you know, ended up just kind of saying, I don't know, you know, if the social work side is really what I want. I think I want to go more into a leadership aspect.
Yep.
And I think so much of that leadership influence, you know, from e-commerce to retail to everything, really stemmed from kind of that early mentality of like, I want to be a provider too, you know, like for myself, for my mom, you know, and be able to take a little bit of burden off of her.
Right. I love that. So then, with what you're saying, with that professor and everything,
Yeah.
what environments or experience do you think shaped you to the man that you are today? Like what's that? What was a pivotal moment that you can like kind of look back and be like, okay, this is when I woke up, or this is when I changed to kind of start
Pivoting.
you know, to
For
pivot.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. You know, I think a lot of it was actually from the experiences that I had in high school, really. You know, it was a tough time. Like, you know, it's a tough time for a lot of people. You know, I was bullied pretty hard, you know, and, you know, it's not to say like a woe is me story. It's more of a, you kind of define yourself in many ways by those experiences. And, you know, it's what you do when that kind of comes your way and how do you respond to that. And I think a lot of, you know, that bullying, you know, kind of influenced how I carried myself for a lot of years, like, you know, low self-esteem, low self-worth. And, you know, what could I do to change that? And that was kind of the question I kept asking myself is, you know, is this how I want to live the rest of my life? You know, do I want these, you know, 4 years of my existence to dictate how I carry myself? And, you know, just coming to terms and saying, no, I want more out of my life. I want more, you know I can offer more. I know I can bring out, you know, more from other people around me.
Right.
And so being able to dig myself out of that in many different ways, you know, through hobbies, through, you know,
Relations.
yeah, exactly.
So, what did you get bullied, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
did you think you kind of
No,
got
for
bullied
sure.
about?
So I actually ended up having to have double jaw surgery. So I had
Okay.
a pretty severe underbite, you know, and kids are relentless, right? You know, they see a difference
What is
in
that again?
you know,
So it's just like this.
yep.
Ah,
Yep.
okay.
And, you know, kids are relentless, right?
Right.
Like if you're different in any way, shape, or form, they're going to
joke,
pick
yeah.
at it and just nonstop.
So you said something that's super important,
Yeah.
man, that I don't want to just skip over.
No, for sure.
Because I think this is super pivotal for just anyone watching this.
Yeah.
Is that those 4 years? Because a lot of kids, you know, all of us, I think, know someone who committed suicide
For sure.
Right.
just from getting bullied and just what's happening. And I think that it's only getting worse because of
Social media.
media,
Social media,
right?
yeah.
So when you say that, can you kind of walk us through like, man, I was getting bullied, but I knew that there was, you know, this was only a period of my life
Right.
that was just like, how did you process that at that age of just being like,
Did you
I
have
know
a-
this isn't
did you have
the
a mentor?
right, this isn't the right now, this is
coach?
just present. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, like kind of what you're saying, you know, no, I didn't really have anybody I could reach out to. You know, at the time, I think a lot of it was throughout kind of that whole period, you get told so many different things, right? Like, you're less than, you're different, you're this, you're that. And it's so pivotal how you respond to that negativity, right? I knew, like, I myself, for my own sense of confidence, had to go through, the double jaw surgery to get it all corrected. And I didn't do it as an answer to those years, right? I did it for myself. It was something I wanted to have done,
Right.
For what I knew that would bring going forward in my life. Okay. The recovery for that is pretty extensive. I mean, it's, 6 months post-op, you're swelled up, you look kind of like a chipmunk, and, it's crazy. But, the 6 months after is nothing compared to, like the mental reset that you have to work on. And that mental reset, is
the hardest.
It's the hardest. And I'm still to this day working on that. Like, I don't think it's something that you ever
just get rid of,
master, right? Like, it's something that you, as your life continues, you have new challenges, you have new things that you have to overcome, and that's going to be you and you alone to decide how you're going to navigate those things.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that's important as well. So then, what would you say about who were you when you were younger versus who are you now?
Yeah. I would say younger me, very young, right? Like, we're talking like,
20s.
10, 10 and below, happy-go-lucky, right? Like, no care in the world, enjoyed life.
Right. As we all do as kids.
Yeah,
man. No
yeah.
one tells you no as
right?
much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, things, very low key. Fast forward to kind of the teen years and early 20s, like that version, was very just caught up in a spiral of sorts of, do I deserve to have a seat at the table?
Right.
Am I worth getting invited to this outing? Am I worth this job? Am I worth this relationship? Am I worth this friendship? All of these things that really come from being, told, no, you're not.
Right.
Like, you're not worth those things. And so having to change the narrative after, better part of a decade of being told something different. And I think, a big part of it too is men's mental health, right? Like, you don't have those conversations, and you guys know as well as I do. Like, it's taboo. It's taboo to talk about, what's going on, because I think a lot of it comes from posturing is kind of how I'd describe it, right? Like, I think men tend to get very open and very vulnerable in an environment like this, right? Like very, it's a safe space. We know why we're here. It's an organic conversation, but you go to, like, let's even use, like the mixer, for example.
Right.
I think it's a very unique, strong environment.
Yeah.
I don't think all of us there are putting on our vulnerable selves. We're putting on our best selves. We're putting on what we want others to perceive us as.
Right. Okay. No, I definitely love that. So that's kind of leading us towards more so what it is that you're doing now with working with Amazon and then your life coaching business, because it sounds like what you're saying is just like, did you talk to a therapist or anyone about that? Or you just kind of worked on it yourself of being like, again, like, because it just sounds like something just switched for you.
Yeah.
That I just want the audience or people to understand, like, how do you, if you're in this situation of not feeling good enough, getting bullied, and you get told no, because like I said, man, I think we can all agree as when we're kids, the world is our oyster. You're being able to do a lot of different things. You're having fun, but as you get older, I feel like you just get the life forced, sucked out of you
As a man.
as a man of just starting to get more. You're getting told no more. You're getting less opportunities, and then you start to question your own self-esteem or your own self-worth. You know, so how can someone kind of get out of that to be like, no, I still do believe in me, and I still can do it, and I can still crawl out of this hole. Not even if you dug it for yourself, but just a place for where it's like you don't value yourself anymore, or you lost your confidence.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest answer to that I would have is kind of creating a checklist almost, right, for yourself. You know, so saying like, what is it that is true from what I'm being told, and what is other people's projections onto me?
Right.
You know, and so that's kind of what I did coming out of high school, you know, starting college, all of those things was really reworking what's true, what's not true. And, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, I kind of went out of my way to challenge myself and say, can I find where that finish line's at? You know, if I continue to say yes to myself and the opportunities that come, that influences my worth. You know, that influences everything that I've been told otherwise. You know, if I say, you know, yeah, I'm gonna go jump out of a plane at 50,000 feet. You know, I'm gonna go skydive. I'm gonna run a marathon. I'm gonna, you know, work my way up the corporate ladder. I'm gonna, you know, graduate college. You know, like all of these things that end up building confidence over time. You know, and I wouldn't even say it was a particular moment. I would almost say it's like a series of events that you
go through.
Keep
leveling up.
Exactly. And I don't necessarily think that there is a finish line, you know, because it's something you're constantly going to work on throughout your life.
Right.
You don't just one day say, you know, boom,
Yeah.
I'm good. I got it. I'm set, you know?
No, I definitely love that. So then more so, what is it that you do now, and then how'd you get into that?
You
said you do a couple of things.
Yeah. You know, so for Amazon, kind of wear a few different hats. You know, I've been with the company for going on 3 years now. Love it tremendously. You know, they do a ton of community outreach events. You know, that's part of what I do. I do, you know, day-to-day operations, you know, so they have kind of 3 different avenues, you know, delivery sites, sortation sites, and fulfillment sites. I'm that sortation site, so kind of in the middle. But yeah, just overall, you know, I'm a manager for them, and then work on employee relations as well. For Amazon. So just, you know, how is the employee experience? You know, what does that look like?
So you're
you know,
very
is
hands-on with the employees.
Say again?
You're very hands-on with the employees.
That's it, you know, and I don't like to stay still. You know, I get a lot.
Adventure seeker.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. There you go. There's that research coming out again. No, I just like being able to, again, say yes to things. You know, I think you touched on it too, where, you know, as men, as we grow up, you know, you get told no so frequently, and it kind of just, you know, it sucks that life out of you. It sucks that drive and that ambition. And so, you know, what does it look like for you to challenge that and say, I'm going to say yes to myself and the opportunities that I'm given? I'm not going to doubt. I'm just going to continue and ride it out. Some things might work, some things might not.
Right.
But I'm going to continue to, you know, to keep moving.
Right. So you also have, what you didn't mention is a life coaching business, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you kind of start that up? And then what does the day-to-day
For sure.
you know, in your life look like with working at Amazon, but then also having your life coaching business and how can you speak more to that and the work behind that?
Yeah, 100%. So like one of the perks that Amazon gives you is work-life balance. You know, I have a 4-day work week, 3 days off. You know, those 3 days off are in a row. I also work nights, so like my schedule is either 2 p.m. to 1 a.m. or 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. So like it's very manageable, and I usually get an entire day before I even go into work. And so with that, I'm then allowed to, you know, kind of branch out. And really what sparked it was just having more free time available. And I said, what do I enjoy most about the work that I do? And it's mentoring. I love, you know, the ability to meet people where they're at, see what they want to get out of life. If it's finances, if it's, you know, career coaching, whatever it looks like, and say, all right, let's go grab a coffee. Let's go on a run. Let's, you know, do something to see you meet even one of the goals that you have set.
Right.
And so like the day-to-day is really just, you know, made up of, you know, like right now I've got 4 clients, you know, regular clients, and, you know, it's maybe once a week, you know, call over Zoom, call over, you know, a cup of coffee. You know, I've got one client of mine, you know, we hit the gym, and then essentially just kind of go off and talk, you know, just have very like organic conversations about what's going on in his life and, you know, all of those things. And again, what I get out of it is just fulfillment, you know, like it just feels like I'm putting water in my cup, you know, like it is so rewarding to be able to just see even small changes.
Of someone growing. Man, I hope you don't mind. I kind of want to stay a little bit on this subject because I have things that are going through my mind with your life coaching business. Do you need? So I'm gonna probably just kind of do a rapid fire with some questions.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
But answer however you want. But do you need any credentials for doing life coaching, or how did you just kind of get it up and running?
Yeah. So I mean, there's 2 options, right? So like I do have a life coaching certification. You don't need that, right? You don't need that. It can be however your, you know, business wants to take off. You don't need that to start. And I think what you should ask yourself is, you know, what would I get from that, you know, certification if I have, you know, maybe 1 client or no clients and I'm just starting out, my brand's just getting started. And you might not get a whole lot of bang for your buck out of it. And so that's where you can really, you know, wait on that. And then it gives a little bit more weight after to get.
Because you look more credible. What areas do you specialize in with life coaching?
Yeah, so I do four main spots, right? So career coaching, fitness, finance, and then I like to just call it relationships. And that could be anything, right? Could be romantic relationships, could be, you know, friendships, business partners, whatever, but just relationships.
Right.
While we on the topic before that, speaking of relationship, I noticed that you as a husband.
Yes, sir.
So how's that going, man? I need to hear more husbands speak out more.
She's the most incredible woman that I've ever known. Like absolutely love of my life. So lucky to have her. So we've known each other for we have known each other for a decade now. And, you know, been together for 5 years, married for 2. And, you know, they talk about like, you want to meet your best friend, you know, and that's her. You know, she's somebody that's so easy to get along with. She's knows how to pull more out of me, even when I don't necessarily have it, you know. And you know, she challenges me too, man. She does a good job of making sure that you know, I keep myself humble, you know. You know, kind of like we talked about earlier, right? You know, everything could get taken away tomorrow, you know, and just kind of keeping that mentality of, you know, what does that look like then? You know, how are you carrying yourself when you're at the top of the world versus when you're having a terrible week? You know, you need to be treating people the exact same way at the top and at the bottom.
Right. So you said 5 years and then 2 years married.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want to ask a personal question.
Yeah.
How do you kind of know, or how did you make that decision when you knew like you wanted to propose and marry her?
I didn't, man.
did?
She did. She made the first move. She made the first move. Yeah. She's so it's one of those things where, you know, she was a good friend. You know, I never personally really looked at her in that light.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about her is, you know, she knows what she wants, and you know, she just goes after it. And you know, she made the first move, and you know, I mean, the rest is history. I was locked in, you know, from that very, you know, second, and I said, yep, you know, this is it. It's almost like when you don't prepare for it, when you're not seeking it, it comes.
Yeah.
And I think for a long time before, you know, even when she was in my life as a friend, I was seeking that. I was looking for that. I was comparing myself. You know, that's another big thing that men do. You know, is comparison. That comparison
that's
mindset.
can kill your
It's
your soul
huge,
for sure.
especially, you know,
Yeah.
you talk about social media, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's all it is. You know, it's just feed and feed and feed of, you know, highlight reel.
Yeah,
And you know, I think for a long time I was like, well, you know, why not me? You know, why am I not in a relationship? You know, like what's going on? What's going on? And it wasn't until, you know, I focused on myself and got myself correct. And
That's what it always is.
That's it. That's it.
Self-reflecting.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you're married, you're a husband and everything. What qualities would you say if you're, you know, life coach and someone wanted to be a husband? Would you kind of can tell them that they need to do in order to get ready for marriage?
Sure. You know, everybody kind of uses that same term. It's work, and it is. That's not to deter anybody from doing it, right? Like the work that it is meaningful. You know, and I think that kind of gets lost when people talk about it being work.
Yeah.
You know, it's work that you should want to do because you're with that person that means so much to you. And I, you know, am still figuring it out, right? Like we've been married for a couple of years, been together for a long time, knowing each other even longer. I'm still figuring out how, you know, like all the nuances, right? Like that it doesn't even enter my consciousness when, you know, I'm whatever it is, not unloading the dishwasher the right way, you know, or you know, all those things,
little
right?
things,
But you know, you tie it back to, okay, well, what does that mean to that person? You know, and when you have that framework of, you know, what I'm doing is directly affecting somebody else, that changes the narrative. That then it turns from work to I'm going to better myself for them. You know, then it's still self-reflection, not so much work.
And that's what I always try to tell people as well, is just like, don't say that I'll get better for you.
Right.
Say, hey, I'll get better for me.
Yes.
Which will eventually help you. Like the butterfly effect, right?
Yes.
Like bettering myself should help you because I'm a better me.
Absolutely.
But I'm not gonna change and try to better myself for you.
No.
You know, and I like that we shouldn't be each other's happiness. I'm gonna do my thing.
Yep.
And then by me being happy, you'll have a happier TK.
Right, you know? Right. And that's it, right? Yeah. I think, you know, you are not in charge of anybody else's happiness except your own.
Right.
That's it, you know? And if you engage yourself from a place of, you know, constant reflection and, you know, owning your own, like that translates. You know, it makes other people feel comfortable around you. It makes, you know, your partner feel valued, all those things.
Yeah. So I wanna go back a little bit.
Yeah.
We our podcast or where our main focus and our pillars are just
same as your life
is mental, physical, and spiritual, right?
For sure.
And you were saying something that I really just love that you're saying about the mental aspect. So again, with being this life coach, what have been the main things that with your clients or that you have just seen that most people desire to have or work on?
You know, I would say it's different for everybody, right? But I think the common things are you have, you know, I kind of have a client in each area, right?
Yeah.
Right now, the through line that I see from all of them is feeling enough. That's the biggest thing. It's the mental aspect. It's, you know, do I feel enough physically? You know, and so like the client that I'm working with in the fitness capacity, you know, they're not terribly out of shape, right? It's just more of a, do they work out regularly? Do they hit the gym enough? Do they have a diet regimen? You know, all of those things.
Right.
And that translates to confidence. And then, you know, the financial aspect, you know, have you opened up a, you know, Roth IRA? Do you have a 401k? Do you have an HSA? You know, all of those things that sound very, you know, kind of out in the mythos and everything. Once you open the accounts up, forget, you know, like you literally open it up and you never have to touch it again in your life until you retire, you know, and like that's once I kind of share that info and sit down with them and we go through the whole process, you know, the confidence level that I see, you know, is huge. You know, they just, they go from being so afraid of never being able to retire or not knowing where their money's going to being able to say, oh, wow, you know, that's all it takes, you know, is just a few $100s a month and, you know, it drops into these 3 accounts and I'm good. Like, what do you mean? But that's what they don't teach you. You know, they don't teach you that. You
How
know,
did you learn all that then, though?
Self-taught. Yeah, because my
YouTube
mom.
University?
Well, you know, yeah, exactly. There you go. I like that. No, because my mom, you know, she owned her own business, and the reason she had the 3 jobs is because that business was very sporadic. So she was an interior designer. You know, sounds great, very you know, dream focused, everything, and she had some really, you know, well-off clients. Did a lot of work for them. Maybe it would last, you know, 3 months at a time, and then all of a sudden everything would dry up. And you know, and bills kept coming, so that's where she'd have to supplement the income with something else. And so a lot of that, because she was the entrepreneur and did all the part-time work, she didn't have, you know, the pension, the 401k, the this, the that. So I didn't have a whole lot of basis to go off of. And that's where, you know, being in college and, you know, just making sure that I knew where my funds were going and what all of that was, you know, I wanted to make sure that, I set myself up, you know, and my money was working for me in a certain extent.
That's the big part.
But I mean, you know, going back to your question, right, of, you know, like, what is that theme that I'm seeing from the clients is, it's really the confidence aspect. I think a lot of, you know, all of those avenues stems from just not having the tools to feel like you're enough, to feel like you have a seat at the table, to feel like you can, you know, be a part of a conversation.
And then are your clients more so man clients? And then like kind of, can you say like their age range?
So 25 to 30. And then right now all of them are men, but you know, does not mean that's exclusive.
And it's so funny that you say that because I watch other podcasts, but that age range in that group is that group of where it is you're trying to figure things out to kind of set yourself up. And a lot of times we sometimes talk about relationship things on our podcast and everything. So it's like as a man, you're 25 to 30 is you trying to acquire the money to make to be more successful at the 30 to 40. But like you said, social media just influences us so much, and we compare that we feel like if Kai Cenat is making millions, I should be making millions. Or you see all the athletes like their deals, right? But realistically, if you go with the majority of the world, then those are the years that you are kind of building. And I think they say that statistically a man hits his financial stride or his peak when you're like more so in your 40s or 45s is when you are starting to make, you know, the most money. But we just feel like, and I think even the woman that we try to talk to feel like we need to be rich now.
Right.
So that's where the confidence and the mental struggle starts to come in, because it's like, okay, I've tried a few jobs, I failed at it, but I need the house, I need the car, and I need the money and everything.
Checklist, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
I think a lot of it, you know, is you're constantly getting spoon-fed this narrative of, you know, all these folks are here, you're here, that's not enough, you know? Like, but the reality is it will never be, right?
Yeah.
Like we see that time and time again where, you know, you just have so many celebrities, athletes, influencers, whoever, that are just so unhappy because it's not fulfilling. Like it's fulfilling to the extent of I'm promoting myself, I'm, you know, showing off the cars, the houses, the women, this, that, and the other thing. It is doing nothing for myself.
Yeah.
You know, and that I believe, you know, is just doing such a disservice to that age bracket that we talked about, that, you know, like early career, you know, even 25 to 35, right? Where, you know, you're out of college, you know, your first real job, and all of a sudden you just started and you feel behind.
Yeah.
Why? You know, like it's not, you know, like
that's crazy. And speaking facts,
right?
Man.
You know, and it shouldn't ever feel that way, because in reality, you know, you're even talking about it too. Like you look at the grand scheme of things across the world, not even just in the U.S., but across the world, everybody here is so damn lucky. Like so damn lucky. Like, yes, we have so many things going on right now, especially in Minnesota. Like we know all of that. But in the grand scheme of things, like being able to, you know, wake up, you know, come do something like this.
I was going to say that too, because you don't have freedom of press.
Exactly.
you can't even do something where we can be political if we wanted to get into that aspect, you know.
Absolutely.
Some governments won't let you.
No, and that's just it. And so, you know, being in that mental framework of sort of unplugging is kind of how I like to talk about it with my clients is, you know, start unfollowing accounts like that.
Oh yeah,
don't
that.
You know, just wake up
crazy.
immediately.
That's what I've been doing. Yeah, I do that every once in a while, man. Of 100 a day, so it just doesn't seem like, you know, the algorithm doesn't try to mess with you or anything.
That's
like
it.
That.
Yeah,
that's dope, man. But one of the other things that we were just talking about is, first and foremost, man, you have a unique story, because as I'm just processing everything you said, a single mother, so now you don't have that dad to kind of give you that structure and that other half of a mindset that you need. So you kind of grow up a certain way, or that people would say, and then also not having siblings.
Right.
So I'm like, geez, I'm listening to a guy that is the only child, also no mom, and then was getting bullied, and still your mental toughness of being someone that was supposed to have low self-esteem and hate the world, essentially is what your story kind of sounds like to me.
Sure.
But you turned and flipped it around of being someone that's helping other people.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy that I always try to, you know, because we talked and I told you that I mentor too, of a lot of the times of what happens is it's cause and effect, and you have to go back to the trauma that you had as a youth to kind of understand why you think or act this way now. And just what it sounds like with you is like, even through the struggles you had, you used that and it propelled you and projected you to going down the positive route, you know, rather than the negative way. So what would be your advice, you know, if we're just talking about first, I want to ask two questions. What is having mental strength to you?
Sure.
And then what is your advice to people that are, like I keep saying, I don't know the word that I want to say, but just in that dead thought process or dead state of mind, because what you're saying in your story is like something that's is dope to me.
Yeah.
As I'm just hearing it, like
I appreciate
dang,
that.
it could have been bad for you.
Yeah.
Of just all that happening, and then you just being bitter and like, you know, being angry or mean, but you use what was a struggle or something negative, and like I keep saying, it made you someone positive. And not only do you have this high self-esteem, but you're also helping other people have it, and because you have your life coaching business.
For sure. Yeah, you know, I think a lot of it just comes from resilience. You know, like that's kind of the word that I own a lot of the time meditate on and, you know, really focus on is resilience. You know, how are you going to avoid mental infiltration? You know, how are you, there's microaggressions that come out all the time, day-to-day life. You know, they're still happening, right? You know, come out of nowhere, you know. Well, why do you and your wife not have kids yet? Why, you know, how come you don't have a home yet? You know, like all those things. Well, man, the interest rates are 6%. That's why, you know, or, you know, whatever. But the idea that you own your life. You own your life. And
at your own pace.
Yes, exactly. And how you carry yourself is going to influence what comes out of that life. And, you know, making the conscious choice of saying, I don't want to, you know, have that like woe is me story and you know, just get hung up on all of these negative aspects, because again, going back to kind of the world at large, I'm still incredibly lucky in the grand scheme of things. Like, yes, I had some hardships back in the day, but they are few and far between compared to what a lot of folks are living through day in and day out. And, you know, being grateful for all that I do have, and even had back then, right? Like I had an amazing mother, you know, that worked tirelessly to provide and make sure that I had the best life that she could give me, you know, and being able to, you know, have a group of friends, you know, that I felt very connected to at the time, and, you know, just really kind of going through all of the things that are good, you know, because I think a lot of it you do lose out on. You know, what do I not have? What am I not at yet? And when you do that, when you're so future focused or even past focused, you get so discontent. And I think the ability to just be present, you know, and say, you know, this is where I'm at now. All of what I've dealt with has led me to this point. This is where I want to go, but I'm okay if this is all it is, right? You know, I am not going to focus on everything that I don't have yet. I'm going to focus on everything that I have now.
Okay. Man, that's amazing. So I want to go back to what he was just saying about, you know, being married and everything, because it got me thinking too about that. Because we beyond here, we be talking to what, single people, right?
Yeah, a lot of single people.
So I want to get more. We both want to get more of an aspect of marriage. Like, first off, what's your take on? Would you encourage young men or single men to get married?
Absolutely. You know, and here's what I would say, right? Do what's best for you. You know, so like, as far as, you know, marriage itself is concerned, you know, that has to be something that you want. You know, I'm not going to say that anybody is less than, feels like they need to in order to check a box, any of that. Like, it is 100% up to the individual. If that is something that you want out of life, great. Is that somebody that you know, in your life that you want to spend the rest of your life with, then explore that avenue. Explore that avenue of marriage. But, you know, as far as, you know, those young single men, it absolutely does not dictate their worth of, not having a spouse, a girlfriend, whatever, right? Like if you're on your grind right now and you're, building your business, you're, building your fitness, your, whatever that is, if you feel fulfilled, good. Like keep doing it.
Like kind of let marriage and everything come to you, right?
You're right. Absolutely.
So one of the other things that I wanted to ask just about you saying and talking about marriage is, what have you kind of seen within the dating pool and aspect? Of is it like worse, or are you just like, man, I'm lucky I'm married, or like kind of like that aspect too of just like if you have single friends, of like that.
I know, single friends of mine, like it's tough out there. It is very tough, and I think a lot of it is sort of due to the culture that we built with social media, where you have so many men, women, otherwise that share, again, like the highlight reels, the here's where I'm at in my life. We're very like self-focused. And so I think to take yourself out of that and go out on a date and connect with another person and, explore a relationship with them and all of those things is becoming more and more foreign. Because I think so much of what is happening now with newer generations, with, social media not stopping, just continuing to kind of take over is, again, very much that self-focused mentality. And so I think a lot of the concepts of what dating is, what relationships are, it's becoming much more foreign to most people to take themselves out and engage, with another person.
Right. So you're kind of just saying like with people are just more so focused on themselves rather than trying to build with someone else.
Right.
To actually have something.
Right.
Because social media is just kind of displaying that.
Right. And I think it can work for and against. I think the for camp is if you are on a fulfilling grind yourself, you're, connected to fitness, you feel fulfilled in your work, you don't have a huge desire for a relationship, all of those things. Continue. That's great. I think if you, are on the path of comparison mindset, I need to check off this box, this box, this box. I need to have this financial income. I need to have this title. I need to have, this suit. I need to have this, watch. I need to have this car. I need to have this. I need to have that. If that is where your mindset is at and you're constantly in the once I have, then I will be happy mindset, you're never going to get to the finish line. It will never come. And that, I think, a lot of folks that are in the dating pool right now are in. It's kind of in that rut of, well, all I need to do is this, then I can explore a relationship. Or all I need to do is have this thing, then I'll be happy, then I can explore this.
Yeah, I understand that. I love that. So you said something earlier just about how you love life coaching and that what kind of got you into mentoring and everything.
Yeah.
What are some of your passions, man?
Yeah. No, biggest thing, right, is running. Like I absolutely love, they say the runner's high, and it's such a good feeling, if you have a tough day at work, if, things just aren't going your way, whatever it is, like whether, Minnesota winters being 8 months out of the year, hopping on the treadmill in the gym, doing a 5 mile, 10 mile run, whatever, like just knocking it out, and just getting all of that energy spent, on, just running and focusing on that alone. Right. Like my mental space, completely reframes when I'm in that. So running is a huge hobby of mine. Very passionate about that.
I seen gamer.
We gonna have to. You said he does what too?
He a gamer.
Yeah,
Gamer?
100%, man.
Wait,
I love
before you say
gaming.
that passion.
Yeah.
We gotta go running together. Now don't overrun us, man. We only can do what I think like 3.3 miles. That's what we did at the run club. But you gotta go at our pace though, man. Because
I got you covered.
I know you're gonna take off on us.
I got you covered. I'll go on my
we should definitely hit one because like I said, we do that. We do go to Run Club. We were going every Wednesday with them.
Yeah.
And then we went to this other one that was like Run BLK.
It was nice.
That was a nice one too. And they wanted us to like even start hosting some of them too. But
that's
like I
huge.
said, every once in a while, man, I get itchy if you don't do it for a while. So it was times where we would just meet up after our workout. We'll just go running over in Edina at Centennial Lake because the view and everything is pretty
Centennial
nice.
Park,
Centennial Park. Thank you. Because the view and everything is.
Do you ever get
nice over there.
the like runner's legs? You know, where you kind
springing?
of yeah,
I do
a
lot.
Yep.
Yeah,
and that's how you know you gotta get out there. You gotta do it right away.
Nah, yeah, I love that. But okay, you said gaming, so
Oh yes.
What games do you play?
I've been gaming my entire life, so I am, controversially, right? I'm not a PC gamer. I'm very much
the old
PlayStation.
school way.
Yeah, PlayStation purist,
do
right?
that, yeah.
I think they have the best exclusives.
Yeah.
I'll argue that all day long.
Yeah.
I love like the genre. I would say. I'm most passionate about would be survival horror, like The Last of Us, Resident Evil, like all of those. Love.
I seen the Resident Evil.
Oh,
That's why we trying to tell the
good.
kids, man.
And guess what else you do?
What else?
Golfing.
That's what I was going to say that in a second. I was going to
yeah.
say golfing in a second. How long you been golfing for?
Yeah, so first job I ever had was at Minneapolis Country Club as a caddy. And, that was, I was 12. I was 12 or 13 at the time. I thought, I was hot shit, with the big wigs and, you go out for 4 hours, do a golf round. And I don't even remember what I got, like $60. But back then, you're like, what? $60, all day long. Too? Yeah.
I think I just had that conversation with my dad. Like, look, man. At 10 years old, my dad and mom are entrepreneurs as well. So my mom owns her own lab clinic and mobile phlebotomy business.
That's amazing.
My dad owned his own barbershop. But in my dad's barbershop, I used to sweep and wash the other barbers' brushes and everything for money.
Sure.
One thing I want to say too is kids don't have hustle anymore these days. But look, I would do that and I would get like a couple of dollars, $5. You go to the corner store.
Right.
And you get yourself like 10 items now.
100%.
Now I think a bag of chips costs like $3.29.
Yeah. You're not getting
and it's the
anything.
same amount of air and everything. Right?
You're not getting anything. If anything, it's more
So
air.
60 to your point. That's some bread as a 12-year-old, man. And I used to shovel driveways, man. And to your point of just wanting to, I feel like every man, for some reason, always want to make mom happy or just always want to please mom because you just see the hard work they do. Dad does hard work too, but it's like I want to make mom
gravitate
get back.
towards mom.
Yeah. And I'm gonna go buy mom the new house and car.
There you go.
Dad could just live in it. You know
Yeah.
But I said
He could be the guest.
Yeah, I
He could be
said
the
that to
guest
say
house.
because man, I remember it was a cold winter, but I was shoveling snow. And I bought my mom a necklace, fake, but looked nice.
Yeah.
And I bought her a necklace, and it just made me so happy to just get her that.
Dude, mama's boys all day. All day.
Yeah, that's awesome though, man. But that's definitely great. So being golfing, I'm gonna need you to teach me how to golf. I've been looking for people. I'm trying to learn.
Yeah, 100%.
We know a guy. The owner, he owns similar, but that's different.
Oh yeah, we know a guy that owns a golfing simulator.
No way.
Shout out to Par
that's
365. You ever been there?
No.
You should go.
Oh, you should go.
You should go.
It's over in Roseville, man.
Okay.
Super elegant place too. And I think that they also partnered with. You seem to me like someone that's adventurous and like doing things.
Yeah, 100%.
So they also partner with. I don't know forgive me for not knowing their name, but they partner with this go-karting thing too. That's like a go-karting simulator
Super
or
cool.
NASCAR driving simulator. But super nice spot.
That's amazing.
Man. Yeah, they got like like probably 10 to 12 different golf simulators.
Different bays, yeah.
Different things that you could do. My favorite one is like either darts or like the ping pong one.
Sure.
But still trying to learn.
You have like games on there and everything.
Yeah, still trying to learn how to golf because I'm left-handed. So a lot of people that try to teach me be like, try to do that. And I'm just like, I need literally probably a left-handed golfer.
There you go.
To kind of try to show me
You're
a little
the
bit
modern day Phil Mickelson.
Yeah.
There you go. Old lefty.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, but no, man.
Hey, you got to teach me things too, because I'm still learning. I'm only on my 3rd season of golf right now. So, it was my first job, but I did not pick up my own bag until, 3 years back.
So you got your own equipment?
Yeah. Yep. I got my own. Got my own clubs, everything. Golf mostly at the Ponds. It's in St. Francis, so it's not a huge drive. It's like 30 minutes, from Maple Grove. But biggest thing is just it's dirt cheap. It's a couple $100 for a membership there, and then you pay $20 to have cart fees.
Because country clubs, I think like 5,000, 10,000
or more.
They get up there
or more.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. I was talking to my dad, and he said that. I'm just like, I'm like, 300. He's like, no, he's like, they're 10,000, 15, 20.
Yeah,
and you could go there, and I'm just like, sheesh.
Yeah, I got to get my numbers up a little bit before that.
But guys my dad said this. If they have time to golf, that means that they have money. Because they're doing something that they enjoy, but they also have time.
For sure.
So anyone that's usually golfing is someone that is of high value or got a little, bread in their pocket if they could take the time to golf.
There we go. Or smart about the wallet. We'll go with that. We'll go with that. Smart about the wallet. Yeah, no. I mean, those country club entry fees, insanity. Yeah. Insanity. I mean, people are dropping like yearly salaries. Just
literally.
Yeah.
I told you it's like 10 to 15, and it's more than that. Like if you go to the different ones, depending on the location, man, 50, 60, it can get up there.
And my mindset is like your golf game better be on point, because if you're dropping,
that's where all your deals better happen at.
Right.
That better be your office if you don't do that.
100%.
I love that. So, man, just before we exit, is there any other projects that you are like currently working on or things that you're looking forward to?
Oh, man. Really just kind of, focusing on like this new venture with Minnesota Rising Professionals, like, co-hosting events with them. Yeah. We just did a mixer, that's our connection. But, just being able to like network out, partner, with Jay-Z, the owner and CEO, and
shout out to MN Rising Professionals.
Yes, 100%. But it's such a cool organization, and just being able to, have that, environment where you bring in all of these, we talked about that age group, 25 to 35, that's
we need more of that.
Yeah, and that's kind of their niche, right? Is, early career, can we create a space where it's not gatekeeping, you're not having to spend $1,000 for a ticket or whatever it is. And I think the reception's been great so far. It's been very warm, kind-hearted group of folks. And, what did you think about the mixer?
I thought it was amazing. And me and him talked about that too, because we used to actually throw events and things like that. And our events, we always tried to make it different. So yes, you could still come and have fun. Some events we did try to have, we would call them like social mixers. So it kind of got rid of I think just wording is important too. So calling it a social mixer gets rid of that aspect of like, hey, come here to party, drink, and turn up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we've done different things of just having events for where people could come just hang out. People could come and eat, and like barbecues, and mixing it in for where like you could still have fun, but we also do want people to network and socialize. And to your point, man, a lot of the times I tell people when I get upset about Minnesota is like, I feel like we're water. We don't really have a culture, or we're not really formed into anything.
Sure.
And that's why I feel like, to your point, when we're talking about social media, it's so easy to influence Minnesota people. Because we don't have something set in stone that's like, this is our culture. Or if we leave this state like, oh, these people from Minnesota because they talk like that.
Sure.
Or they're from Minnesota because they look like that.
Sure.
It's just like, we're water. We don't have a form.
Too diverse.
But I think it is important to have something like that, because there's no blueprint for us for if someone's doing something, for other people to know how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that it's like, to your point of just no gatekeeping and everyone just really trying to be supportive, because sometimes I feel like Minnesota doesn't have that. We love making content, hence the podcast and stuff like that. But I just tell them all the time, like, man, if we were in Georgia or Miami trying to make content, we would probably blow up quicker, or it'll be faster because we're meeting so many other people that like to make content or that have the same mindset.
Have that collaboration.
Exactly. But here, and not even on the content aspect, even sometimes business-wise, it's just like, it does feel like gatekeeping, or that like you're not in the right group or circle in Minnesota. Just because like, where can we find these people, or where are they at?
Right.
You know?
No, right on the head. You know, I think it's very much a state that has a lot going for it, right? You know, you even touched on it, like, you know, so diverse, but then sometimes with that comes, you know, how are we utilizing that? How are we getting everybody into the same space to then collaborate and have an opportunity to say, hey, I do this, you know, here's how I can help you, vice versa, you know, and it's huge. It's huge when you can, you know, just kind of take the wall away and just be able to, you know, essentially give an olive branch, right? You know, just share,
I love that.
You know, hey, you know, let's cut out all the, you know, the posturing and all that kind of stuff, and just, you know, here I am, here you are, what can we do?
Right. I love that. As we're wrapping up, man, do you want to shout out kind of just your life coaching business and everything of that nature?
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
what it is
absolutely.
that you help and all that you do?
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, the name of it, not very creative, but Brandon Watt Life Coaching. And, you know,
Gotta brand yourself.
Gotta brand
yourself.
No, so
Anywhere they can find it?
yeah, so I've got links on my LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, everything. You know,
Want to
still
shout that out? What's that?
Say again.
You said LinkedIn and then Instagram. Do you want to let the audience know?
Yeah, for sure. So Brando is the Mando, is the Instagram, and then just Brandon Watt. You'll find me on LinkedIn. But yeah, so you know, it's all aspects, right? You know, as far as life coaching goes, you know, kind of shared earlier, career, finance, fitness, and then relationships. And I really just like meeting people where they're at. You know, so it's not, you know, here's, you know, one set price, here's one, you know, set goal. It's where are you at? What are you looking for? How can I get you to where you need to be? That's the biggest thing.
Okay, awesome, man. Well, you guys heard it. We got Brandon Watt here. Great story, by the way, man.
Yeah,
it was a
appreciate
pleasure
it.
talking to you.
Great conversation.
I just wish that we had more time to keep. I'm like, man, I feel like we could talk all day if we were to just be smoking some
Maybe we'll
cigars
have to have
and
a
getting a
part
drink.
two.
Yeah,
There you
or
go.
golfing. Yeah, or golfing.
There you go.
All right. Yep. Well, you guys know our slogan. If you stay small enough, long enough, you'll be big enough soon enough. And we never look down on anyone unless we're willing to help them up. And more importantly, remember this: believing that you can is way more profitable than believing that you can't. Thank you for watching. We're out.
Love it.